it is metal components that is made of metal powder. So it is an ideal process to manufacture small and complicated metal components for mass production. And it begins with, of course, metal powder. And then we are mixing with originally developed PO-based binder. So we do this internal development of the binder. Then it goes to the kneading and pelletization process that creates this feedstock. So if you have seen the plastic injection feedstock, so it's very similar. So it's small and a little bit roundish. This goes into the injection molding machine, which is called the green part. Green part still has the binder inside. So we do need to debind and then sinter. And in our company, this is one step furnace. So debinding and sintering happens in one go. That means we would never see the brown part, which means after debinding, before sintering. So it goes straight from green part to sintered part. The shrinkage is something that is often asked. So from green part to sintered part, you can see even that this picture, it goes smaller and smaller. And this shrinkage is approximately 15%, but it changes depending on which kind of metal powder, particle size of the metal powder, or sometimes the different binder systems used. So it cannot be so easily said, but it's approximately 15%. So this is the process. After this, in some occasion, it is some kind of secondary process required, like coating or machining and so on. Many cases, we don't really need any secondary process. So this is a final part. The 3D micro-mim technology is something that you probably have not heard of, because this is our own term. And 3D micro-mim is something that uses one-time resin mold. That is this one. So we create this one-time plastic mold in the plastic department in our company. That means we need a mold to create this shape first. And then this is inserted into the MIM mold, which is called the second mold in this case. So the overmolding is happening in that second mold. And when it comes out, it looks like this. And in the degreasing or debinding and sintering stage, not only the binder inside the material, but also this is dissolved. And in the end, you have the sintered part with an undercut structure that is usually not possible with the mold process. So I will show you this video. You can see how it is with a 3D micro-mim. So this allows not microstructures like micro pipes or micro nozzle and so on that are usually very, very difficult if you want to make by other manufacturing technologies such as machining or many other conventional technologies. You could probably make them in 3D printing, metal 3D printing, but then if you require, like, let's say 100,000 pieces and so on, it could be a little bit difficult. Now, the micro-mim prototype process, we call it 3.5D printing. This is also our term. Now, this 3.5D printing works as a prototype process for when you want to reduce the time to market. Let's say you have some design, some variations of design in the 3D models. You are still not sure which one to go with. You could test with this LMM printer, which stands for lithography-based metal manufacturing, a few different designs. So what happens is that we use almost same metal powder, a little bit different size, but almost same metal powder as the MIM powder, and then we mix them with binder, which is a photopolymer binder, so that is different binder system than our MIM binder, but they are mixed in the same kneading and pelletization, kneading process. And then it goes into the printer, the green part, which means in the MIM process, molded part, the green part, which in this case, the printed part, goes into the same debinding and sintering furnace. And at the end, you have the sintered parts like this. So this is introduced to us in summer 2020 by an Austrian company called Incas GmbH. And we are working in partnership with this company to enhance the material choice for this LMM printer. So if you have some project that you might want to consider first, what design you want to test, or you want to just test for some mechanical properties before you move on to creating the mold, you are welcome to ask us for this kind of prototype before you move to the actual MIM production. So if you want to know more about this, there is a whole series of webinar that we did with the Incas CEO. So you are welcome to take a look at that on our YouTube channel. So let me move to the next. Now the applications are shown here. The medical device customers mostly do not allow us to show their components. So these are very few that we have been permitted to show. So it's, of course, very small part of what we do, but we do a lot of different material like copper, titanium, of course, stainless steel, soft magnetic material. As we do, as I said, mostly medical device, endoscopy devices, and the surgical device forceps are something that we do very, very often. But apart from that, we do also microstructures such as this micro nozzle that has 30 micron hole here with 1:10 aspect ratio, the micro wheel that has about 300 micron here, and the diameter is 120 micron. And this very thin wall thickness is 80 micron between this lighter gray color here. The sharp edge is another thing that is very interesting for the MIM sector, because most MIM companies won't be producing this sharp edge of about 10 micron. And this is actually a cutter for a paper. And this is just sintered and no further polishing required. And it is easily, used as a paper cutter. So this kind of thing can, of course, be applied to medical industry as well. Special gears are something that is often manufactured by metal injection molding, and the helical gears are very often used in the machinery that requires some quieter environment, such as hospitals. So, of course, we have some more samples. If you meet us in person, we can show some other samples. So if you have such request, please do not hesitate to ask. Now we would like to move to the next slide that is showing the new equipment. So Atomizer is something that is going to make the metal powder. So this was introduced last year, so it's relatively new. And we are using this Atomizer to create the metal powder for the LMM machine. And previously we had no Atomizer in-house. That means whether you want to do some trial or R&D project, we had to buy the powder from outside. So if the powder supply didn't have them in stock, it could have taken quite many months. And now, at least for the small quantities, we can try to make them in-house. Then the vacuum furnace, which is also called metal muffle furnace, is something that we are introducing now this summer. We hope that it will arrive in time. And then the polisher is introduced also last year, quite recently. And this is for the final parts. After the sinter part, in some cases, we are asked to do the polishing. And this is why we have this polisher. So the first one is the Atomizer. So there are a few different methods of atomizing, and powder used in the metal 3D printers, or you know it as additive manufacturing, which have attracted attention in the recent years, are produced by water atomization, gas atomization, disk atomization, and so on. What's the particle shape, particle size distribution, and so on. Gas atomization produces powders with a shape closer to sphere than, let's say, water atomization. But because of the high pressure gas on the powder, the fine powder called satellites tend to adhere to the periphery of the powder. And depending on the viscosity of the melted metal, voids inside the powder may occur due to gas entrapment, especially in powders with large particle diameters. The disk atomization method is also limited to the production of the powders with low melting point, such as aluminum alloys and copper. So we have selected the ultrasonic atomization method, which offers a high degree of material flexibility and the ability to produce high precision metal powders, which means spherical, very spherical parts, as that is what we need for both the 3D printing, for our 3D printing, as well as the metal injection molding process. Okay, so let me go to the next. This slide is explaining the ultrasonic atomized process. That is what we have chosen. So first, a wire or a rod is melted by the TIG arc, forming molten pool on the cooled copper tip. Secondly, ultrasonic waves shake the molten pool and make the liquid surface jump. So these are the jumping powder particles. Finally, the liquid metal rounded by the surface tension is blown off to refine highly spherical metal powder. This is a SEM image of the stainless steel 316L powder that is produced by this atomizer at our company. As you can see in that picture, we were able to obtain a beautifully spherical powder. However, the powder size is still around approximately 30 micron D50, which means that we need powder miniaturization, and it's still a challenge to make much smaller particle size, and we use much smaller particle size for our metal injection molding process. So we are still working on making it smaller and smaller. So advantage of using this ultrasonic atomizer is that high quality metal powders can be produced in small quantities, because we are only talking about trials and prototypes. We don't need huge quantities. And the ability to produce these powders in-house means that the development time for the new material process can be reduced. This atomizer is also compact, so we can place it in a lab, which is what we are doing. So at the moment, we are making these powders for the 3D printer, and we hope that by having this atomizer in-house, it makes our material development and prototype speed a lot faster. So we are happy to have this new option. Now the second topic is a metal muffle furnace. Let me see, there's another. So this is a furnace that we are installing this summer. It is the first metal muffle furnace, debinding and sintering furnace. And we are very excited to welcome this new furnace. And it is metal furnace that consists of a vacuum vessel, vacuum pump, and wax trap tower. And inside the hot zone, it is made of metal, so you can see the hot zone, and this is a tight box. And then this is a cooling gas that is being injected in here. The feature of this metal furnace are that compared with conventional graphite furnaces, that's what we have, it's possible to sinter in a clean atmosphere or cleaner atmosphere with less contamination possibility and also quenching, which is expected to control relative density and microstructure. So it will be really nice to have this in-house. So the third equipment we are introducing here is the polisher. Here we introduced 3 typical polishing methods for metal components. So electropolishing preferentially dissolves, smoothes, and brightens the convex areas of minute surface irregularities and removes dirt and foreign matters from the part surface. It leaves the polished surface clean, produces a stronger passivation film, and improves corrosion resistance. And the chemical polishing uses the dissolving power of the treatment solution to polish. So it's less likely to cause irregularities and can process large quantities of parts with complex shapes in a short time. However, it requires constant management of the processing liquid, that means changing the liquid and waste liquid treatment, which makes it extremely difficult for handling. Then the third one, mechanical polishing to the right, it is good at polishing simple shapes and does not require exhaust treatment, so handling is easier. However, after polishing, abrasive grains and foreign matter remain, causing corrosion, making it unsuitable for situations where cleanliness is required. And in the medical device manufacturing, of course, cleanliness of the component is very crucial. So we have selected the electropolishing, which can polish parts with complex shapes and improve corrosion resistance. So that's the polisher that we are now going to talk about. So this electropolisher, well, there is first dry and wet electropolishing processes. And we have selected the dry one to the left here. And this schematic diagram is showing this dry electropolishing system that we use in-house. The machine consists of an electrode in a pool containing conductive resin media. Components are placed in the anode section, and the components are polished by mixing the media and energizing the electrode. Advantages compared to wet electropolishing are eco-friendly design, thanks to the free electrolyte feature, no harmful substances, and easily handling. As you can see on the right-hand side here, we are explaining this polishing process. First, energization is initiated. Next, a special conductive porous resin board with a little amount of water instead of electrolyte comes into the contact with the sample. So that is the second one. And then the dissolution proceeds rapidly, and the convexities and concavitivities are smoothed. And finally, the media containing the dissolved ion pass the ions onto the other media. So this process is followed by the smoothing of the part surface. So the next slide will show the result. So this figure on the left, or the pictures, I should say, the SEM image of the parts that had been polished with this polisher for 30 minutes. So before it was like this, and after it became like this, which shows that it is quite good polishing. For those who don't know why this surface is kind of rough, because it is a titanium component. So titanium powder cannot be made too small because of some possibility to explode in the sintering process. So we are using much coarser particle size powder in that titanium compared to, let's say, stainless steel powder. So it looks a little bit, more kind of, coarse or matte surface. And these kind of components are often polished afterwards. So you can see that it becomes almost mirror-like finish. In this wearable device ring that we produced with the 3D printer, the LMM printer, last year for the medical micro-nora last year. So this has also been polished using the same polisher. So you can see that it is also possible to make very good polishing, like mirror-like polishing in the a little bit more complex surfaces than this component. So we are happy to have this option for smaller quantity. This is not for the serial production, so this is only for the prototype or trial phases. So it's good to have this in-house, and we also have been choosing this because of this environmental friendly design, and quite happy to have this option in-house.